Welcome back to another stimulating episode of Whining About Pest Control. I am Shelby Hartzer of 360 Pest Consulting, and today we're going to whine about the domestids, often called warehouse beetles. And there are a number of different species. They can be found in a lot of different places. Because we are talking about this family of beetles, this blend of beetles, if you will, I'm drinking a red blend today. So cheers. Nice. All right, members of this family are often called warehouse beetles because, well, guess where many of them are found, right? Food warehouses. Other species, they're called hide beetles, skin beetles, cabinet beetles, larder beetles, carpet beetles. And so with all of those different species, there's going to be some variability in color and size and a little bit of food preference. A consistent characteristic of the adults is that kind of round to oval shaped body, and they have clubbed antennae. The larvae are really distinctive. They have hairs all the way down the body. So you're not going to confuse this with any other larvae that's out there. Almost all species prefer foods that are high in protein. With that in mind, let's whine about control. Commercial or residential, you have to find where those larvae are feeding. Adults can fly quite well, and they're attracted to lights. So where you're finding the adults may not be where the larval food sources are. Since you know, because I just told you, that these are attracted to protein sources, you can start looking for foods like nuts, milk powder, pet food, anything else that's going to have animal protein as an ingredient. Now, in residential situations, you may have to spread out a little bit further than your typical foods. Look for taxidermied animals, hides, wool rugs, even dead animals. If something crawled up in the attic or down in the crawl space and died, domestics will go after that. Some species can be really big problems in museums. Think about it. Museums have a bunch of dead animals. They can be in the animals, the feathers, even dead insects are potential food sources for these beetles. It's important to use pheromone traps because this will greatly help with pinpointing those sources, assuming it's not widespread through, say, an entire warehouse. Having that ongoing pheromone monitoring program in high-risk sites like food processing, food storage, can give you that early alarm when those populations begin to start up. Once you find the source where the larvae are feeding, all you have to do is get rid of it. Simple, easy, right? Sure, that's easy in my kitchen if we find the infested mixed nuts that fell below my pantry, but not so easy if it's a few super sacks of walnuts in a commercial cookie bakery. Or it can be even harder if that infestation is widespread throughout the site. Infested foods really do need to be removed, though. Nobody wants to bring home their beef jerky from the grocery store and find it crawling with warehouse beetles. Sanitation is important too. We want to clean up any pockets of food, any food spillage that these might be taking advantage of. When populations are small, isolated, there's a really good bait that we can use. Apply it in those key areas where they are, add in the liquid residual with an insect growth regulator, and hit the cracks and crevices with that. Make sure you read and follow the label. If the warehouse beetles are larger areas, widespread, you may be looking at a fogging or even a fumigation. Preventing warehouse beetles from getting in really is the best treatment. However, these can be delivered in on raw ingredients. They might be in the finished processed foods. They might even be coming from outdoors. So really 100% prevention is not going to be possible. Can still do something. In large commercial facilities, make sure they're inspecting all of those incoming goods. Have that pheromone monitoring program in place. For residential, for smaller areas, remind customers to keep doors and windows closed. Regularly check their cupboards, their pantries, wherever that food is being stored. And remember those other animal-based products. Just like any pest, if we catch it early, it's going to be small, it's going to be isolated, and it's going to be a lot easier to treat. If I'm making this sound easy, trust me, it usually isn't. I haven't even touched on their life cycle and how that can make them really hard to manage, but we are just about out of time, so you will just have to stay tuned for more of the whining about pest control. As always, rate, review, subscribe, and cheers to the warehouse beetles.